Hello everyone, so in this video we're gonna do a unboxing of the Logitech G903 wireless gaming mouse. I just bought this last week because it was actually right now it's on sale for about $69 almost everywhere, and I always wanted this mouse like a few years ago when it came out, and but when it first came out it's retailing for like over $140, super expensive, and now it's less than half the price. So I thought it's about time to get this mouse and maybe give it a try. The reason I really want this Lightspeed wireless gaming mouse is because this is one of the few that's left hand friendly, and as you can see, I'm a left hand user, so I have the G305 right over here, which is also a Lightspeed compatible mouse, so it's wireless as well, and it has been serving me pretty good. But the only downside is every time I need to press the button, the side button, I have to use this finger right over here, which is really hard for me to do. I usually reserve this for voice intercom, so when I press this button, it kind of affects my playability, like during gaming, and I play mainly Overwatch. So when I see the G903 is on sale, I bought it immediately. So in hope that maybe this mouse could give me a better feel on my hand, and also at the same time give me the option of having the access to the buttons on my thumb area, so I can press it much more efficiently. So again, on sale right now, $69 on Amazon. I bought it on Amazon. I'll post the link down below on where I got it. So if you guys are also interested and you have $70 to spend, we'll see if this mouse is up to the standards. Okay, so let's open up the packaging. And typical Logitech gaming packaging. Kind of similar design as the rest of the Logitech equipment I have. The G305, and I have the G610 gaming keyboard as well, which is the mechanical. I think I had the brown key inside, or maybe I had the red key. Anyway, so right off the bat, very nice packaging. Like the box actually feels the box feels expensive. So opening up the box, wow. This kind of plastic mold right over here. Also have plastic mold on the top. Really nice feel, like right off the bat. And picking up the mouse is really light. Almost the same weight as my G305, but it's actually slightly longer than the G305 right over here. So let's do a quick comparison. So probably like half an inch to over an inch longer than the 305. Okay, so again, really good looking mouse. I really like how they used those space to create kind of a modern futuristic look compared to the 305. Very plain, very to the point. But this one, because when they first came out, it was on a premium, so I'm pretty sure they tried really hard to make it look as nice as possible. So over here, you can see by default the button is actually on the right side, but from what I read, I think it's possible. Yep, it's magnetic, so I can remove this area, probably remove those buttons as well. Let's see if it's possible. And just unplug those buttons and maybe move it to the other side. Maybe not. Maybe they have other buttons over there. So let's take a look. Hopefully I can put it back right here. Okay, so let's see what's inside. So again, I already took the cover off because I know there are two holes for two buttons over here. That's what I'm really excited about for this mouse, which is the thumb buttons right over here. Extra customizable buttons over here as well, and that looks like the flywheel adjustment. So you have the click and you have just like flying around, which is really cool. Okay, so what's down here is the quick user manual. There's a power button right on the bottom over here. Remove all the plastic. turning it on. It's even got LEDs. Pretty cool, but usually I turn the LED off just to save battery. This looks like some extra weight. Let's see. It's also magnetic, and right now there's no weight attached. I'm pretty sure the weight is probably somewhere here. Let's see. What's in here? Here's a little nice plastic box. Here we go. There are extra buttons for the right side, and one extra weight right over here, which is 10 grams. So a 10-gram weight, and you have a cover for the other side if you don't want to accidentally press those buttons, which is nice. So you can take the cover off, and then maybe just put the buttons back in here, which is, I think, what I'm gonna do. And it's even numbered G4 and G5, so you know where exactly to put those buttons for later use. And right here, so I already put the buttons back. I'm gonna actually put the cover on G4 and G5. So, and the cover actually have lettering that says left side. So just put it right over here. Also, button is not magnetic, or is it? Maybe it is. Okay, so now I have the button cover over here, so I shouldn't be accidentally pressing the buttons on the left side for left-hand use. Okay, over here is your Lightspeed connector, probably the charger. The receiver is right over here. So there's a receiver to plug onto the computer, I think, or okay guys, so I just did a little arrangement. I got the USB cable actually connected back on my back of my monitor, so I have easy access to this micro USB cable. And what I found out that is kind of a genius design is this little dongle that included where the original receiver was on the other end. So when you are charging the mouse, you don't have to use the dongle, so you can just pull this dongle off, like from here, and then put the mouse onto the USB port to charge it at the same time. I think it's gonna be able to just connect with a USB connection. So let's just give it a quick try. That was my analysis. I think it actually kind of works this way. So yep. When I plugged it in, and my system is like setting up the device instantly, and it tells me this is a G903 wireless mouse, and it's already ready to go. So without any drivers, the mouse is ready to go. And compared to the G305, it's it feels more stable because of that extra half an inch on the mouse. It's also slightly wider compared to the G305. So for people who prefers a slightly larger mouse, this is a better choice for sure. And of course, right now it's connected and charging. Let's actually go into the settings. So basically, it suggests me to get the PowerPlay wireless wireless charging mouse pad for this mouse, which costs quite a lot of money. I don't think I'm gonna be spending the money for the pad at this moment. I'm just gonna charge with the included USB cable every night after after finished using the mouse. But so the cool thing is when you finish charging, you unplug the thing, and you actually plug this end onto the USB cable provided. So you have a very close Lightspeed connection right over here. So the mouse is still connected, but right now it's actually pure wireless connection. So again, it's a genius design with this little dongle. So you're able to use this as a charger and also at the same time for wireless play. So again, if you ask me if the PowerPlay is really necessary, I don't think it's really necessary. Just get a mouse pad that you really like and just charge it, just unplug it and charge it on, on the USB cable. I think it's totally fine. again, I kind of wish that Logitech actually chose to use the QI wireless charging technology, which is pretty standard on all the cell phones nowadays, but they refused to do that. They used the proprietary charging technique, which I'm kind of against. It's like, otherwise there will be other companies making compatible wireless chargers at a very reasonable price instead of almost $100 for a mouse pad, which I think it's way overpricing for this kind of thing. But again, this thing at the original release, it was selling for almost $150, which is also to me way too expensive. What's great about the G903 nowadays is you can have it for less than half the price, and I'm pretty sure Logitech is coming out with the updated version of the G903. That's why they're slashing the price. But again, I think for a left-hand user that is dying to have a mouse that actually is designed very well for left-hand user, ambidextrous, and have actually a thumb button for left-hand user, which I think it's fantastic when you consider the G903 at this price point, even a couple years later after the launch. And you also have the option to fully customize it by giving it more weight to your liking as well. So right now I have the little bottom cap off. Basically, you can add the extra weight. If you feel the mouse is too light for you, you just put this 10 gram of weight in here and then just snap it back onto the back of the mouse, which is just genius design, okay? Excellent design. And also the fully modular design, because I don't really necessarily need to use those two buttons. I can have more stability by putting the cover right over here for left-hand user. How cool is that? And there you have it. Like, I'm actually gonna use the two mouse to play the Overwatch for a little bit and then give you guys a final impression on what I think about the mouse. Of course, it's gonna be the first impression. After I use the mouse for a while, I'm gonna come back and maybe do a final impression of the G903 compared to the G305 Lightspeed wireless mouse. All right, so right over here is the gaming software that you can customize the Logitech G903. And so over here, by default, of course, it's defaulting everything to the left hand. Over here, down here, you have the option to select the layout. So of course, I'm going to be choosing the left hand layout, which is with the two buttons over there and on the left side covered. And of course, if you have all the buttons assigned, you can choose this layout, which enables all the button presses. But okay, for now, I'm just gonna use the left-hand layout, and I'm gonna assign it the button. Actually, let's restore the defaults and see what kind of option we have over here. All right, so I chose use default, use generic. So it's basically giving me the default of going forward and backwards when browsing website. So of course, in the game, I can customize those two buttons and just put one into the voice or maybe another one into another like short command for the gaming. Over here on the center, so those two buttons by default, it's a DPI down and up. So over here, it gives me a few options for the DPI, which I think is crazy because 400, again, it's way too slow. And there's 800, which is about okay. 1600, 3200, and 6400, which is like crazy fast, almost too fast for any useful use. So I would say I'm probably just gonna keep the sensitivity level into like probably down to 3. Oh, it's way too fast. Okay. And personally, if you look at my other mouse configuration, I keep the DPI at around 1350. That's my comfortable, regular, occasional gamer DPI setting. So I think I'm gonna do the same for this mouse as well, which I'm gonna be keeping around at that level. So I think for the first setting, I'm gonna be keeping it at 1200 and then 3550, and then another setting maybe at 1500. So those three settings, I think will be close enough. Like if I'm doing a sniping, I want more precise movement, I can use a lower DPI. And if I'm, doing something that I need to flip like really quick, trying to focus. If I need to flip something quickly, I'm gonna use a 1500 DPI rating. But keep in mind, I'm a occasional gamer. I'm not a professional gamer. So all those settings you personally can customize to whatever you like. But I'm just showing you the options to customize the mouse right over here. And you have 5 default profiles. So for different games, you can have different settings, which is crazy. And over here, of course, because they have the LED lighting, you have the option to customize the LED settings. For me personally, I always keep the light off. So yeah, even for the DPIs. But if you have the DPI setting on, I think it's able to display different DPI levels right over here. I'm gonna show you really quick. So over here, there's a light on the bottom that shows you what the DPI setting you have. You have the 3 and then perfect. It's gonna display those settings over here. And it changes colors. You can customize the color too. It's pretty fancy. Again, I think I'm just gonna leave it on. So hopefully once you finish the change the setting, the light actually turns off. So you can quickly know which DPI setting you're at, and then the light flips off, which is the reason I'm gonna just keep it on there. So that's kind of nice. Over here you have your battery level. So it shipped to me at about 60% battery. And I'm gonna just keep it fully charged and then test out the battery and see. So apparently max charge, you're able to use it for about 32 hours. I think it might be a optimized reading over there. I'm pretty sure during regular use the hours is gonna be much shorter, because from some of the other reviews I've read before I bought this mouse, that the actual usage time is actually less than 32 hours. So, but I'm pretty sure you can use it for at least 2 days if you're not a hardcore gamer, out of the mouse, and then be able to charge it maybe every couple days. But if you have the PowerPlay mousepad, you can charge it anytime, so the battery is always charged and you don't need a wired connection like what I'm doing now, which have the micro USB cable connected to the mouse. Okay, so some other settings you have over here is the surface tuning. I never found this useful at all. I always just leave it on the default, because I try to tune it to my table because I don't use a mousepad, and for a few times I found the default setting is actually probably more accurate than actually tuning the mouse to the table. For some reason it just doesn't work for me. Over here, this is like the heat map. If you turn it on, it records your button presses and generates a heat map on how many times you press the button. Kind of gimmick. Again, just leave it off. The reason I bought this mouse is because of the left-hand buttons, specifically the thumb buttons when I'm using it as a left-hand mouse. And also it's slightly larger than the G305, which I personally prefer a larger mouse. Wow guys, so I was just playing. I played the first half with the G903, and right off the bat, I would say for left-hand user, if you like the big mouth, big mice, the 903 is great. It actually made my aiming so much more stable compared to the G305, where I have to flick a lot. For this one, actually, I can have a very accurate aiming when I'm trying to heal someone from really far away, and there's no flicking associated with when I was using the small mouse. So I would definitely say there is a big improvement in the gameplay experience. It's just more stable, like for sure. And it's actually, the aiming is actually very accurate, so which is great. Like this feels great. This is like the perfect mouse. Exactly what I needed and exactly what I wanted. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna retire the G305 at this point, because I'm already in love with this mouse so much. and my aiming is so much more accurate now. This is great. Yeah, even with the wire, and the whole feel of the mouse it just feels like one level better than the G305, which I understand is a very basic mouse, and this mouse at $70, it's definitely a great buy. So at this point, yes, highly recommended for. Sorry, I'm playing games, but highly recommend for only $70. This is a great buy, great buy. I think if you guys are looking for a left-hand gaming mouse, this is definitely a no-brainer for $70. At this point, I would say just buy it. It feels great. I really don't want to use my G305 anymore. And this is actually with the 10 gram weight added. So I personally like it to be slightly heavier, and the weight is actually, with the added weight, it feels perfect. It doesn't feel as flicky as the G305, but again, for my play style, I don't really like flicky mouse. This one just feels more stable, and with the much wider area, and actually it feels more form-fitting with this little bump over here for my style of gripping. So definitely really nice. I think I should just conclude this first impression right over here. Great mouse to have. If you guys are looking for a left-hand gaming mouse, wireless also, this is a great buy at $70. So actually, I was surprised to find out that actually my aiming has been greatly improved when I switched to the G903 compared to my old G305. The reason being, the 903 is actually a bigger mouse, and for that reason, it's actually a little bit better balanced for me. So when I'm moving around, it doesn't feel as twitchy. And this mouse, actually, to me personally, it feels way too light to my taste. So when I'm trying to aim, like doing really fine aiming, the mouse just wouldn't cut it. I'm either overshooting or I'm undershooting, like a lot of the times. And for the first time, I was doing Ana as a healer. So for the first time, I logged into my game before I started recording this, and I find that I can aim much more stably when I'm trying to heal someone from really far away. The scope just feels much more stable actually with this mouse compared to when I'm trying to heal with the G305. Honestly, I have a fairly small palm, and the G305 just feels too small, still feels too small for me for some reason. And this actually feels perfect. The shape of the back area, it's got a really nice curve, so it actually cradles my hand very nicely around the back area as well. Even for my pinkies, I feel I have some sort of support over here for me to grab with. And with the G305, it just doesn't cut it. Like you can see, my hand is at a very awkward position when I'm trying to play with the G305. I've been using this mouse for probably a little more than a year, give or take a couple months, and I like when I switched to G903 today, it's a night and day difference. This feels much more stable. This feels much more smooth when I'm moving it around. Granted, I have the 10 gram extra weight inside, and also the mouse itself is much bigger. In terms of balance, like I want to show you something really quick. Like in terms of balance, the G305 also doesn't feel balanced like in the hand, because if I'm lifting it, like, okay, I'm lifting it from the center point, the mouse actually have a very high tendency of going backwards because I have a fairly heavy battery installed in there. So it feels a little unbalanced actually. Maybe that's the reason that when I'm trying to aim, it twitches a little bit because the front end just, it doesn't want to stay stable. With the G903, it's very well balanced in the center point. It doesn't really want to go either way, like when I'm holding it in the center. It doesn't go back and doesn't go forward. It just feels well balanced. So when I'm playing, you don't see the extra like twitched movement like in the front when I'm trying to do with the 305. It just feels more stable. Actually, it actually shows in the game. Like in the game, I feel like, personally, I feel like I'm healing a lot better with this. I'm aiming a lot more accurately. So I would say for gaming, yeah, it's definitely a no-brainer. Like for $70, just get this because I spent the same amount of money for the G305, you know, last year. And of course, it's a no-brainer. I know the G305 is slightly cheaper now, but if you're looking for a perfect mouse for left-hand gaming with the thumb buttons on the left, perfectly customized just for left hand, most definitely get the G903. It's a much better upgrade compared to the G305. My only reason to get the 305 is because it's left hand friendly and it's Lightspeed wireless. I love Lightspeed wireless because there's no delay at all, and I have the freedom of not having a wire sticking in the front and kind of dragging the mouse during the gaming. So it's much better choice. And I also love the way that they set up the Lightspeed receiver with the included USB cable with this little very useful dongle. So when you need to charge, just unplug this and plug it into the mouse and charge. When you finish, just put the Lightspeed receiver back onto the USB. And you have a great setup because the receiver is much more close, you know, than if when I set up the receiver for the G305, I have to put it on the back of the monitor, which actually probably creates some sort of interference. In terms of the button press, the feel is actually very similar. The 305 feels a little more crisp, and this feels slightly more muted. From the review I've read, people are complaining about the double clicking issue. Now that is a long-term issue that I have yet to find out. Again, I'm not a hardcore gamer, but I do use my mouse every day. Another mouse that I had the double clicking issue with was the Razer Death Eater left-hand version. So I found that mouse to be actually quite uncomfortable because that mouse sits too flat on the desk. So even though it's left-handed, it's not customized, or it's not as comfortable personally for me compared to the G903. 903 feels a lot more comfortable. Like when you put your hand on there on the mouse, it just feels right at home. Again, I also love the very futuristic design. I love the fact that I have the LED, even though I'm not using the LED, but I think a lot of other people is gonna find it very flashy, very eye-catching, and pairs great with the Logitech gaming mouse as well. So I love the fact that it have the customized weight. I can just remove this weight and get a lighter setup if I wish, but I do prefer the extra weight personally. So again, just a great value for $70. I think for anybody looking for a left-hand gaming mouse, this is a great buy. I'll post the link down below. If you guys have any questions about this mouse, or if you have any opinions towards this mouse, I know it's been out for a while, so do feel free to discuss with me in the comments section, and I'd be happy to discuss back with you as well as hearing your feedback. So thanks again for watching, and if you do find this video helpful, please do hit the like button and or subscribe, and I should have more similar videos coming out for you guys. So thanks again, and take care, guys.